Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within. Welcome to Ngozi Talk Shows, everyone. My name is Nomsaklara Mnde. I am your love harmonist. With me today, I've got Amandamarie and Carol Ann Cooper. Over to you, Amanda. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Good morning from Canada. It's bright and early here. I am a teacher, an artist, and an illustrator, and I also am a children's book author. And my business is art, mindfulness, and creativity, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves, because I believe that we are all creative beings, and we all have a gift to share. Carolyn?
Good morning from London, UK. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is I empower women to shine through getting their story written. Because you cannot publish what isn't written. And all of this has come about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within, connecting with my deeper innate ability to write, something that I didn't believe I was capable of doing. And I'm enjoying a complete new perspective on writing and words. So.
Thank you so much, Carol Ann and Amanda. So our topic today basically is how consciously shifting your perspective can change your life. Sometimes some people, they are stuck in this place where I can't do this, I can't be this, or sometimes people are stuck in people's opinions. And basically, so I'm really looking forward. But Amanda, I need to find out, because you chose this topic, and normally you and Carol Ann, when you choose the topic, it means basically the topic speaks to you. Is something that is a process that you've gone through and came on the other side and basically climbed the mountain. So I love to hear more about your topic, please. The audience would love to hear why you chose this topic.
Well, I chose the topic because I have a friend who's going through a really rough divorce right now, and it's become all-consuming to them. And I keep saying to them, like, when you change your perspective and you consciously choose to not let it affect you, then your life will change. But right now it has complete control over you. And every time, like, you've given your ex so much power, because every time that they do something, it throws your entire day off and your entire week off sometimes, and they have so much power over my friend, and it's hard to watch. And it's hard to, and I know, because I've been there, I've been that person going through the divorce where the ex does something and it like cripples you for the entire day or for a week. And it's just so hard to watch a friend go through that as well. But also, shifting your perspective on anything can help. Like, I know, for me, when I went through my divorce, they would be like, "Oh, I feel so sorry for you," or something, and I'd be like, "I don't." It's the best thing that ever happened to me, because I learned so much. I'm so grateful for that experience. I can help other people now. I wrote a children's book to help kids going through divorce and separated parents. Like, it has helped, like, it's been a gift. It wasn't actually a negative. It's in the long run been a gift to have had that experience. And so when we choose to shift our perspective, and even now there's things that my ex will do that will throw me off, but I have that choice in that moment to either let it affect me and consume me for the day, or to like deal with it quickly and brush it off, and then move on and focus on something positive, because your energy, like, wherever your energy goes, that's what's gonna determine your life. And some people have such beautiful lives, but they just constantly focus on the negatives, and then they're not seeing how beautiful their life actually is. And I think that's something that we really need to understand, is even through what we've been through in the last 2 years, like, I'm so grateful for my home and hot water and and all of those things, that even though it's been a tough 2 years, there's so many things I can be grateful for. And I think that's something that we really need to consider when we're struggling with things. And I know now, where I live in Canada, I just don't understand what's going on with our government. Like, and I just try to have hope and try to change my perspective to, this needs to happen so that we can have a better outcome in the long run, is what I keep telling myself, and hopefully that will happen. Caroline?
Oh, yeah. Great point. Because it is about what you focus on is what ends up happening. And sorry, something's got stuck in my throat. Wants to come out again. Okay. Interesting. What wants to come out? I'd just like to share something actually that around this perspective, and it's something that I saw Bob Proctor teach a few times, and it really helps you immediately see perspective. And he had this book, and he held the book up, and he said to us, right, what can you see? What can you see? And he got someone to describe what they saw. And then he said, well, actually, I'm seeing something different. And he described what he saw. Because from where he was looking, the other side of the book is different. And it just went, I hadn't even thought about perspective till that point. But in that moment, something went, wow. Yes, it really is worth considering. From what side are you looking at something? Because if, like, as you say, Amanda, that person is in that divorce situation, what side is she actually looking at? And what is it in her that's allowing this crippling action to happen, and to consume her? And we do have that choice to then be aware of it and go, okay, how can I see things from the other perspective, the other side? Because there is always another perspective. And we have a choice as to whether we want to be a victim or creator of our reality. And if we decide we're going to be the victim, then guess what? It's going to be uncomfortable. And you feel that you're just at the mercy of whatever's going on. Whereas if you step into that perspective of, I'm the creator here, what part of me has asked these people to show up in this way? What part of me has created this scenario? And then work with that part of you and get the lesson, get the learning, and help that part of you to realize, well, actually, that doesn't work for you anymore. It's something that may have worked in a particular situation because it was keeping you safe, but right now it doesn't work anymore. And so you can then Allow that part of you to see that other perspective, and you can shift, learn the lesson, and start moving on. But actually being able to step into, I'm the creator of this, has helped me to shift so many things and helped me to feel stronger and to move through my life when things have felt like, oh God, why is this happening to me? Well, actually, it's rephrasing that as well. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. So again, just that little shift of words, different perspective, to me or for me. So this is where it can literally change your life. And so yeah, I loving this topic, because I love those words that you used, Amanda. Cripples you or consumes you. Is this what you want? Is there something you're getting out of being crippled and being consumed? Well, have a look at it. I seriously look at it and go, okay, what would you prefer? And it is, as you look at it, Wayne Dyer said, if you believe it will work out, you'll see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles. So again, it is what, as Amanda was saying, it's how you see it, how you view it. So, and what you believe. And as you were saying about what's happening in your country, if you can really believe that out of this what appears to be, and you could label, appalling behavior and reaction, is maybe just the reaction of someone who doesn't know what else to do. They're struggling, but also there's a guidance by the universe to bring something out that's there to be cleared. Some awareness for us all that can be cleared. And so what positiveness can come out of this? What is the opportunity that is sitting in this that is happening? So I like you say, when you say, Amanda, you're hoping, keep that hope, keep that faith, keep that belief, which I think is a deeper feeling than hope. Belief that something way bigger than this is going to come out. It's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. What new life is going to come out? What beauty, what opportunities that are there for growth, and I just love that vision of the phoenix rising out of the ashes. And if you can believe that and hold that belief, then opportunities will arise and get everybody in that movement, rather than thinking, oh, we're doomed. Because if that's what you think, yeah, you're doomed. So really shift that perspective. Does anyone want to move on with that or hear what they say?
We are doomed. I don't like that. So I agree with you, Amanda, and I'm sorry for your friend for what they're going through. Divorce is it's not a nice thing to go through, for someone to having to go through it. As sometimes I always say to people, I think they should remember when they began the relationship, because when you are divorcing, it's so much heartache, so much pain. And when two people meet up, promises are made, and you think, oh, we're going to spend the rest of our lives. And unfortunately, something happens. People grow out of each other, and people start wanting different things, and that happens. And if there are children involved, things get messy, but they shouldn't. but if they do for some people, unfortunately. But if they to change their perspective or how they see things, like the way, like sometimes you can ask people who have gone through divorce, they are lucky because they have you, that you are there and you've gone through the pain, and you have a daughter, and your daughter was in there in the process, so you can actually give them some tips so they can actually evaluate how they are dealing with things, because sometimes might be one wants to go and one still wants it, and when the other person wants it, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, then it gets really, really messy. But then it will be up to you then for Carol Ann and her words doomed to have a look at the situation and say, you know what? We want to get out of here clean and not doomed. So, and you are right when you say it can consume you, it can cripple you, it's emotionally, mentally. When you are dealing with something, it's like it takes one person. A phone call can leave you crippled, basically. So if you are going through that process and you are not on the same page, because when it comes to divorce, you have to be on the same page, and you have to look at the situation. It's like you don't know if there is cheating involved or somebody wants different things, and is that person is still love the other person, and the other person will be like, I'm not ready to let you go. So it can be really, really painful. So I'm not sure if there is an easy way out, because it doesn't matter how the length of time you've known someone, even a separation, like even if you've met someone for 1 week and you decided to attach with that person, emotion. If you let it happen, like Carol Ann, I like Carol Ann, the way you were saying with the book, with Bob Proctor. I like that perspective where we all see life in different ways, in different things. How we sing Goes the Talk Show in a different version of how others see it. So I like when Bob Proctor was saying, showing, doing the example of the book, because at the end of the day, how I see it's like I get excited, like when Carol Ann and Amanda, when you guys are on Tuesday. So some people might look at the talk show and say it's not for me. So it doesn't mean that their perspective, their opinion about what's the talk show, it basically it defines Ngozi talk show. Their opinion, it doesn't matter. It's how we feel about that situation. And your friend that is going through divorce, one of them has to be a bigger person. And I know when it goes through there was a girl that was going through divorce. Her ex was like wanting going to court, wanting every penny that she had. And I was like, what pension, everything. And I was like, what now? I was like, this is awful. It's meant to be two people meeting, loving each other. Of course, you start sharing your life with someone, you get married, you buy things together, but why can't you just share? These things that we fight. We don't get buried with houses. We don't get buried with money. We leave money behind for somebody else to catch wrestling to fight. So I was like, why can't they just sit down 50-50 if they want to and just give each other and just reason? But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And also, when you are saying about your ex, my ex does call me sometimes when he's stressed. And if I text him wanting something or wanting him to pick our daughter up or something, he will just react. If he's stressed with something, not with me, with his life, he will react to that situation to me. But what I do is I leave him alone. I leave him alone and I say, okay, I send a message and say, I've seen your message and I wish you well. And then later on, I'll send a message and say, whatever is going on, just stay strong. Because I know it's got nothing to do with me, that reaction. And then later on, he will send a message and apologizing and say, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through this. And then I'm like, what? by why taking on me? But I can't ask that question because how we see life, he doesn't see life that way. So I agree with Carol Ann when you say you can choose to be a victim, or we can actually create our own reality. We can actually create our reality how we want, and just create something that has a meaning within our lives, or we can choose to wrestle against each other until we go to the grave. Over to you, Amanda.
Well, I like what both of you have been saying about changing your perspective. I've actually, Carol Ann, it's funny that you mentioned Bob Proctor, because I started listening to one of his abundance meditations twice a day for the last like 4 days. So this is day 5 now. And that's one of the shifts that I've tried to make with what's going on here too, is to focus on abundance and at least have like, well, now it's 40 minutes a day because I listen to it in the morning before I get up, and then I listen to it when I go to bed. So for 20 minutes each time, just like focusing on abundance and gratitude and shifting that perspective. So that's one of the other reasons why I picked the topic for today, was because I started doing that. And I used to do it when I got divorced. I like would think 10 things I was grateful for every single day. I would listen to meditations, this Louise Hay one in the morning and in the evening, and all of those things I kind of like, once I got back on a good track, I kind of left them to the side. And then now I'm like, oh, I need those strategies back in my life again to help me refocus my subconscious, so that I'm consciously and subconsciously getting my brain to focus on positives and abundance and the love of life. Because when you look at something from one angle, sometimes it can be really dark. But if you look at it from a different angle, you may see glimpses of light and glimpses of positivity. And I know when, as you learn and as you grow, you learn how to deal with things differently. Like Nomza was saying, how you've learned how to deal with when your ex is frustrated. And I was thinking about last week, I've done the same thing where my ex did something, and instead of lashing out at him or dealing with him, I just dealt directly with the people involved, and I didn't even send him a message being like, what is wrong with you? I just like dealt directly with the people that it involved, and left it at that, and didn't even engage. And it felt so good to not engage, because if I would have engaged, then it would have been a fight and it would have thrown off my day. And instead I just dealt with the people that needed to be dealt with, and it ended up being a really good experience in lots of ways, because it helps me learn how to deal with things better as well. So if you find that there's something where it's like your automatic is to be like text and be like, bah! You can take a step back and be like, nope, how can I deal with this in a better way? And then step through that. Like, that's a really hard thing to do, is to be like, because I like had written out something and then I was like, nope, delete. I'm going to deal with this in a better way. And it took a lot. It took a lot to not send that text and not be like, what are you thinking? You can't move our kids' schools without telling me. Like, that's not okay. But yeah, and it felt really good to be able to not engage and not engage, because when somebody, whether when you're in a relationship with someone, and even with children, I read this book called 1-2-3 Magic, and it talked about when you react to your child, if you're like mad, or like when you're like, can you please get in the car? Can you please get in the car? Can you please get in the car? Get in the car! That's when they listen, is when you snap. And it's really because they're having a power struggle with you. And if you can learn how to not get to that point where you're having that power struggle, because as soon as you snap like that, they have all the power over you, and you've lost your power. You've lost your power as a parent. And that was something that I was like, when I read that book, 1, 2, 3 Magic. And it has helped me so much in being able to deal with my daughter too. And when I'm having a power struggle with her, learning how to say, okay, if you don't want to do it right now, it needs to be done by this time, or set a timer for 5 minutes and you can go do it when this 5 minutes is up. But these are the things that need to be done, instead of being like, can you please go shower? Can you please go shower? Can you please go shower now? If you can shift it, and you don't give people your power, right? As soon as you're reacting in an angry or frustrated way, you're giving away your power. And I think that's something that we all need to recognize, and when we do give away our power, recognize it sooner and take it back. And when we are recognizing that somebody is taking that power away, try to stop it sooner than we did before. And I think that's something that in any situation you can try to do, is to take your power back, to stand in what's true for you. And you can't control what other people do, you can only control what you do. And this can happen in so many different areas of your life, is just a simple shift to take a breath, look at the abundance in my life, look at how this situation has shifted me and helped me learn and helped me grow. And even though it's really frustrating right now, I know in a year or in 5 years or in maybe even in a week, things will be better. So I think that's something that we can really shift, and even just focus on, like, something little that brings you joy. Like my cat always, whenever I'm struggling, my cat always brings me joy. And like even right now, she's just like chilling out. So focus on the little things. Shift that perspective to something little that just brings you joy.
Yeah, pets have a beautiful way of bringing you into the moment and feeling that love with them. I've had a cat in the past and a couple of dogs, and they always seemed to know when I was needing that. You know, I was upset, and they would just come and they just put their, the dogs would just put their heads on my lap, and it's just, you can feel they're with you, and in that moment it's quite magical. So but what I'm hearing, what you're describing there, Amanda, is yes, if you react, you have given away your power. And I know when my grandchildren come home and they talk about, one of their teachers has perhaps ended up shouting at the class, or, and I said, they've lost it. They've lost it, and this is what's happened in your country with your president. He's lost it. And it is because there's this power struggle going on, and it is, he can't get his own way. And you just stand in holding that loving space. Because I remember once when my eldest granddaughter, she was, I think, about 2, and she'd come to stay with me, and her mum had to go out, and she wanted to go with her mum, but she couldn't. So I was stood in my bedroom, and my granddaughter was just throwing the biggest wobbly ever, and I was just had my back to the door, and I just stood in hookups, which is a brain gym activity. It's just where you just interlink your fingers like this, roll under, cross your ankles, and I just stood there like this with my back to the door. And she was coming up and banging on the door, let me out, let me out, let me out. And I could feel that anger rise in me, where at one point I would have snapped back, and you lash out and you go, no, you're not going out. But I just maintained that posture and just kept coming from that place of love. And she would have that anger at me. She would go and then cry on the bed. She'd get up again. She'd then go and quieten. And I think it was like that for about nearly half an hour, where she'd then have another go at it with a temper tantrum. But eventually she calmed down. And it was just peaceful. But I was very aware of a few times where I felt that urge to react, with anger, and I just felt it and let it go. And if you can hold that space, so, and this is right, I speak to you, Amanda, with all your fellow countrymen, if you can hold and maintain that loving space, that person who's throwing a wobbly and having a tantrum, they may keep coming and having another tantrum, but things will quieten down, because actually the real power is love. And when you can come from that space of just keep giving out love, there's nothing stronger than that. So yes, it is about, it's that reaction or response. Are you reacting or are you responding? So I love that. Again, it's another way of saying what I said earlier, and you're saying that same thing. So do keep recognizing that, because we have lost our power when we're back in anger. And I used to be like that. I used to be very angry, and I used to respond in anger until I learnt these other tools and techniques and found the power of being calm and coming from that space of love. And I remember having with my youngest daughter once, standing over her, she would not do what I wanted her to do. And I was getting angry and angrier. And in the end, I could feel myself just about to snap. And I thought, no, I walked away. And I gave her that ultimatum, like as you said, Amanda, give them time. And I said to her, I said, right, I want you to do this I'm going out into the kitchen. I will be back. And by the time I come back, I want you to have done that. It gave that breather. And I went out, came back, and we then had conversation, and she did what it was I'd wanted her to do. So again, it is that it's been able to recognize it. So where there was something else I was going to talk about that popped up. There's a quote that Laura Ingalls Wilder I read this morning that keeps popping up at the moment. Persons appear to us according to the light we throw upon them from our own minds. And where that I feel is applicable is like what you were saying, Nonsa. When we've got together with somebody, we grow up and we can go in different directions. But the problem is we still hold that other person in the same thinking. We still see them as the person they were, and they see us as the person that we were or that they want us to be. And that's where this power struggle comes in then, and relationships fall apart because you're not open to the change that's happened and to seeing this person in a different light. So be open to just seeing someone in a different light. The fact that they've changed, they've altered, they've grown, you've grown. And are you still actually compatible? And because I know that's with my ex-husband and I, we'd grown apart. And it had to happen. And we were actually able to just part company amicably. It was hard, but I was able to be in that space of, no, this is how it's meant to be. Anger and resentment are like taking poison, hoping the other person will die. Maya Angelou. I love that. But who's actually dying in the process? Is it the other person? Or is it you? Because feeling this anger and resentment, and it's your own health that is at risk here. So do think about that. And Dr. Bruce Lipton says, the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body. So again, shift that perspective. Let go of that anger and resentment. Your whole body chemistry changes and your health will change as well. Namsa.
I agree with you, Carol Ann and Amanda, and I like it when Amanda is saying she's been listening to actually meditation. I did the challenge with Carol Ann's challenge. So I've meant to actually focus on my writing, and when she did the exercises, there's one exercises that she did. So I actually changed my perspective. I was like, I'm doing this brain training, and I feel like I'm doing it wrong. And I was like, okay, I need to have like gratitude, and I need to um, I just need to find ways of changing it so I can have power within me. So I just went on YouTube and I decided to have a plan. I found a video that I needed because the Carol Ann had, when I did her exercises, I could feel I could feel the relaxation within my body. It's like these exercises when I'm doing it is basically I'm up there and then it's pulling me down, my emotions down. So I was like, I love this what is happening, but I need to do more. So I went and did some research on YouTube and I found some meditation and manifestation. So I'm manifesting, but I'm doing it and I'm doing it how I want. So instead of manifesting for something, I'm not actually manifesting for something. I just said, you know what, God, it's you that I want. So instead of me saying I want money, I want a house, I want this, I've decided that I'm gonna ask to manifest his energy, to connect with his energy. And once I connect to his energy, everything else, like the Bible says, everything will be added to me because then he will know my heart, what's in my heart. But if I hadn't gone to listen, doing Carol Ann's challenge, if I would have just looked at myself and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it. Let my egos take a hold over me. So I was like, she didn't tell me about this challenge because she's basically uh, doing her own advertising. Amanda, she didn't advertise in our group and she didn't let us know. And I happened to have a conversation with her. That's how I found out about this challenge when we finished the talk show. And she was like, oh, I'm doing the challenge. And I was like, well, how come it's not advertised? So I would have missed out, Carol Ann, you see. So you need to change your perspective of advertising because the people that you think they are okay, it's like I would have missed out my basically my glory, like changing my life. I would have missed out on something if I didn't know that if I didn't know that you were doing the challenge. And I'm glad that you did that challenge because I was able to recognize some other things where I need some changing in my life. And I was like, when I pray, sometimes people say manifest for money, manifest for this, manifest for that. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I need the creator. I need this man who is the creator that everyone says God, God. He is the one that I want. So, and then everything else, he will know my heart. He will know what I'm looking for. He will know the things that I need in my life. So I've decided to do that. And since I've been doing that for the past few days, since I've done Carol Ann's challenge and made a decision, and I can feel the energy is changing. And I'm actually loving it because the energy is changing, and I know that I'm appreciating. I have gratitude with my life and my breathing. And I know that I'm not asking for anything. And I'm saying to him, I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking of you to open heavens and call my name. You know what I want. Call my name. I want my name to be number one. When you're blessing other people, you know their want, you know their needs. So I want you to call my name. So that's what I've been doing. And I also happen to have a pastor that is my favorite. And this pastor was preaching about the same thing. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to use this prayer. I'm going to use this meditation. And you see, Carol Ann, what do we mean about changing your perspective about believing in yourself and believing that there's somebody who needs the help? So I would have missed out to all these things, Carol Ann.
I get the message. Thank you. I've made a note. I really need to change my perspective
Yes,
on
you
the
know,
sharing and letting people know and
share, share,
marketing my work.
because
Yeah.
since I've been doing your challenge, I was like, okay, I'm actually loving this. I'm loving this Carol Ann that is hidden. And so I was like, I don't know how to bring this attitude out. So I'm still thinking about it as I'm asking God to actually call my name so he can help me, so I can actually help people around me. And I was like, um, I was like, this woman, she's very, very talented, and I don't know how, if she knows, because there are some things that like some exercises that they trigger something, and I don't have experience in those exercises. If I didn't know about them, I miss out. So, and constant talk shows, I think those are the things that we need to start showing people's talent and who people are, and in which we are not doing it. We need to change our perspective of how show the real us. Like Amanda, you basically work with abundance, and Carol Ann, there is more to this woman. She's not just a writing facilitator. So we need to start basically showing our character and showing our personality, which is, I thought I would just say it so that you guys know that I was amazed actually with Kero and her challenge. And I was like, okay, so the people that are not actually taking her program, I hope some people booked to go for a retreat, because to me, it helped me a lot. And like what we say, Amanda was saying, we can't control how others lead their lives. We can only control our lives. We can only focus on the things that we want to do and help those who want us to help them. And Carol Ann, I like the way you made an example with the dogs. And dogs are loyal. I used to have two dogs back home, and we taught our dog, when my dad brings the food, dog food, we taught him to say no to the dog food. And he ended up eating the food that we're eating. And my dad will bring the food and give him that food. And he would just shift the plate and go to the garden, dig it, dig it, dig, and then bury the food to say, I don't eat this. So he actually ended up going to the butchery and say, listen, my dog, these children have trained this dog not to eat dog food. So can you prepare special the food that this dog can eat? So he used to have his special food from the butchery instead of the dog food. So dogs have feelings, they have emotions, because they do connect with the human beings. And if we can know how to use the energy that we have with God, the universe, whatever the beliefs people may be, like Bob Proctor, like what he did, there was more that he did for him to actually start realizing that I can actually live my life the way I want, which is what I'm doing now, Carol Ann. But it wasn't part of the plan. The part of the plan was me to go and learn to write, but now my perspective have changed. I'm I'm basically focusing on this energy so I can actually write properly, and I can write it based on the things that I want and focusing on the things that I need. And thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that, but I don't appreciate you not sharing your talent with us. Over to you, Amanda.
I like how you talk about how you're focusing on abundance but not asking for specifically for money, and that's one of the things I really like about Bob Proctor's meditations, is that he focuses on abundance in all areas, on abundance of trees and animals and grass, and also like the abundance of creativity. He talks about like we all have this abundance of creativity within ourselves.
Yeah.
And Nomza, you're learning about your writing creativity, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we really need to focus on, is like there's people with tons and tons of money. Abundance doesn't always mean money. Abundance can be abundance of love in your life, or abundance of true friends, or abundance of pets, or just abundance of experiences. It can be abundance of whatever it is that you need, abundance of creativity, abundance of maybe you need abundance of time. Like there is an abundance of time. What are you spending your time doing? I know sometimes I procrastinate and waste a lot of time. And so I think sometimes, well, it's not wasting it, it's just like sometimes when I binge watch Netflix or something, I view it as wasting it. But maybe my body just needed some rest time too. So I have to enjoy that abundance of rest time. But I really like what you both were saying about abundance and about shifting your perspective, because I think that's something is so important, because you can shift your perspective to so many different things. Like Nomza was saying about like wanting houses, or a bigger house, or this or that, and really there's so much abundance in our lives, and we are so lucky in so many ways. And I think that's something that when you're having a bad day, you can try to just be like, oh yeah, okay, stop, breathe. I can focus on the abundance and the good things in my life, and that will shift me back in a more positive direction.
I love that. It shifts you in a different direction. And you were saying about meditation, and over the years I've listened to quite a few different meditations, and Bob Proctor's is a great one to listen to. There's also Deepak Chopra. I've listened to some of his abundance meditations, and he's teamed up with Oprah Winfrey, and they've put on a challenge, a meditation challenge. They put on occasionally, and I've done that, and it's helped me in that time to shift, and it is something to look for. The other things I've listened to is Esther Hicks, is the teachings from there, and there was a time when I would listen to that, and again it helped me through some sort of dark times that I was going through, because again it just gave different perspective, and you think, oh, didn't think about that, and it just seems to lighten things for you. So there are lots of ones out there to listen to. Just see which ones you're guided to listen to, but the tools and techniques are out there. We're here, so any of us can support you on the journey as well. Just having a conversation with somebody can very often change your perspective, and it is just actually being willing to listen, sort of suspend your own perspective, your own way of looking at something, just long enough to listen to what the other person is saying. And it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Because sometimes you can get so stuck in your own, what you're thinking. And how this can actually change your life. If you shift your perspective on something, it then changes the actions that you then take. And it's your actions that then change your life. And one thing in particular I remember was, probably about 18, 17, 16, no, probably 17 years ago. I lose track of time. I had the opportunity to take voluntary redundancy from the college that I was teaching at the time. And I was guided to take it, but I was holding back. So I did a brain gym balance, an educational kinesiology process. And in the beginning, I had this vision of this huge chasm in front of me that just seemed impossible to take. And it was like, I'm here. So no, but where I wanted to go was to leave teaching, and where I was guided to go was setting up my own business in all the things that I'm going to be trained in. So educational kinesiology, NLP, all of those things, you know. So this huge chasm was all I could see. And it was like, no, I can't go there. At the end of the process, what I saw were all these lily pads coming up in the chasm. So there was a path that opened up, and it was like, oh, I could do it. And so I did. I took the voluntary redundancy. They accepted it, and part of me went, oh, no, you were supposed to say no. You know, but it was like, no, okay. And that vision has helped me even in the toughest times, when I've gone, oh, I still can't see, you know, me getting the other side. And I'd see that vision, and it's like, no, I just have to take a step, because again, I shifted my perspective in as much as I only have to take a step, and the lily pad will come up to meet my feet. I'd got to a point where I was waiting to see it come up before I took the step. I shifted my perspective and saw that if I took the step, that lily pad would be there to support me. So again, I was able to just keep taking action and moving forward. And my whole world has changed completely. And people have shown up to support me, to help me along the way at different times. You know, these lily pads are different people, different opportunities. And so these opportunities do show up if you're willing to change your perspective and then just take the action. So magic happens. Magic can happen. Just shift that perspective. Namsa.
So much, Carol. And I like it when you say you were able to, your vision has changed your life so much. And it helped you and it shaped your life, because that's what life is about. If you are able to recognize where you've been and where you're going, so that is an amazing. And unfortunately, some people don't have that courage to actually take to change their lives. They're like, they live in hopes and dreams. Actually, that's what is needed, and showing up, and people will show up, and God will send angels around you to help you. And basically, that is part of life. That is what life is about. You have to be able to actually um, think about what you want in your life and take action, and know and appreciating your life as well, that you were created basically for something. You were not just created to be on earth and eat food and go to sleep and just go and hang out with people. There's something that God has put you on earth to do. So before you go to the grave, you've got to make sure that Andy Harrington always talk about, when you have to think about when you die, what people are going to say about you. And have you shaped people's lives? Have you done, what have you done? So you have to imagine when he says, when you are stuck, imagine how your funeral is going to be like. So, and also don't worry about people's opinion. People always have opinions about what they think you should be, what they think you should do. So don't worry about people's lives. For me, I have my own quote that I have created, that if you didn't make me, you cannot define me, because my creator defines me. So if you didn't make me, and I don't think you have a say in my life, you have a say by basically helping me with something that is going to help me to grow, because I want to grow. I don't want to stay with where I am. But if you enter my life and want to criticize me, there is no room for that. So I wish we all think the same, that there's no room for critics. There are people who criticize basically for you to grow, to help you to grow. There are people that are, those people, I want them in my life. Those who criticize for the sake of having fun, no. So if you give me a critiques, it's got to be something that is going to help me grow. So I welcome that. And thank you so much for those who are watching and who will be watching the talk show later. And please share some love and subscribe to our channel and follow us on our social media. Any words of encouragement, Carol, and before we leave?
A couple of things. I remember being with my mum, and we're looking at the front window in her house, and she's going, "Oh, it's not a very nice day today, is it? It's a bit grey out there." And she's looking out that window, and I'm looking at this window going, "Oh, Mum, it's really sunny out there. It's blue sky." Because literally, the sky was different. You looked out one window, it was grey clouds. Looked out the other window, and it was blue sky. So it's your perspective, which just maybe just turn your head and look in a different direction, take a different perspective. And just leave you with a quote from Marcel Proust: "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new lands, but in seeing with new eyes." Amanda, what do you like
I
to
love
leave them
that,
with?
seeing with new eyes, because that's the shift that needs to happen sometimes, is just look at the world from a different set of eyes and a different point of view, because there's people who are so much worse off than you. Like, there will always be people that have more struggles in life than you do, and I think that so many people get stuck in their own head, in their own bubble, that they forget to be appreciative and grateful of what they really do have. And when you can shift your perspective into being grateful, then your life will get so much better. Because it's true, like, you can either be looking at the dark skies, or you can be looking at the sun that's coming, or you can even just be like, I'm going to take advantage of this day even if it does rain. I know I've gone hiking a couple of times and people are like, it's going to rain all day. I'm like, I'll wear a rain jacket. And I've hiked in the rain, and it's been like some of the funniest times ever. And so I look back and I laugh at those situations, and I think sometimes that we really need to do that, is just go and trudge through, even when it's not necessarily the nicest day or the most ideal day, because you can look back and laugh on it later.
So much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carol, Ann, and Amanda. And for me, is pay attention to the present moment, so you can be the person you were created to be, not what people expect you to be. If the crazy is what you want to do professionally and change people's lives, go for it. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless you.